the Feast of the Epiphany. Epiphany has many pictures in it, in a way. It means revelation, a manifestation, display. Another way is showing up to show off. And in the gospel today, it's quite a story, quite a drama, because people are showing up and in some forms are showing off. Or another way is a revelation of who I am. It's exposure, if you will. And it's only in Matthew's Gospel. A little Gospel 101, please. Matthew is writing his Gospel according to the Jewish tradition for the Jewish community, encouraging them to trust that Jesus is the fulfillment of the promise, the Messiah. He is the one. So where does he have to go? He has to go back in the Gospel, earlier in the Gospel, that Abraham was the father of Isaac, and Isaac was the father of Jacob. It goes all the way through. And 14 generations later, David. And it's to David that the promise is made. David, who was born in Bethlehem, becomes very important. So that then 14 generations to the Babylonian captivity, and then 14 generations to Jesus. And so there is a direct line, and in the Advent prophecies, from the root of Jesse, from David, will come this Davidic, if you will, this Davidic king. So it's only in Matthew do you see this gospel, because the story, because Matthew is very concerned that the Jewish people take Jesus as the fulfillment of the prophet, that this will be the Messiah. So everything is about Son of David, and that he comes from Bethlehem. So that's what the gospel is about for the Epiphany. So let's review the scene. It's Jerusalem, and then about 7 miles away is Bethlehem. So across the desert and from the east, three, past for scientists, magicians, whatever you want to call them, Messiah, or Magi, but they come and they are following what they believe to be a star. This is part of Matthew's drama. So they get to Jerusalem, the holy city, and they inquire, where is the newborn king? Where is he? And he gets another person. Remember, this is about showing up and showing off. Herod, who is the present king of the Jews, and very ruthless and self-preoccupied, and a hypocrite, they come to him, and then he runs and he asks his wise people, where is this king to be born? He said, in Bethlehem. And that's in Micah. You can read that in Micah. You, Bethlehem, you are the place. So they say, Bethlehem? So Herod says, you go down to Bethlehem, make sure, come back and tell me, and I too will go down there. Okay, so they go, the three kings, and they display, so it's an epiphany too, they display who they are. Herod has displayed who he is. He's a hypocrite and terrified that his royalty is going to be challenged. So that the three, we call them kings, but the three magi, they go down and they find where Jesus is. And they open up their treasure. That's wonderful. Frankincense and myrrh, silver, gold, whatever. They're displaying who they are. They are wealthy, and they want to recognize the new king of the Jews. So it's a big, big festival. And then they are warned in a dream, not trusting in a star, but trusting in a dream. Very important. And they go back by another way, which is very important. They go back to a new way of relating, and we'll come back to that. And that's the end of the gospel for today. We know, and we celebrated in the church last week, the Feast of the Holy Innocents, that Herod showed who he is. He makes his display, his epiphany. He has all the young men of 2 years old and younger killed to protect his own ego, to protect his power, his fragile identity as king. So everybody shows up and shows off, including Jesus. And in Matthew's gospel, the light of God, if you want to do it, imagine a complete globe, and there's a little flashlight shining on Israel, this little cuticle of a country, shining that you are my people. In Matthew's gospel, that light embraces the whole world. The light has come into the world, the whole world. Now you are now all. That's what this gospel is about. That the wise men came according to their tradition, but they go back by some enlightenment that this king is not only the king of Israel, the king of the Jews, but the king of all the world. What's going on? God is the epiphany. That God is the showing up and showing off, if you want to say. And he's saying, I created this world, I created a holy people, and now I'm creating a light to see that the whole world and all the people are my people. So that the light that shined for the star has become greater than the sun. It's greater that can illumine the whole world at one time. God is epiphany. God is showing off. God is being who God is. As Herod was who he was, as the Magi who they were. Very interesting that they give their treasure. And I often wonder, maybe you would, did they take the treasure with them? Because they said, this king is different. And Matthew doesn't say, what did they do with the treasure? Did they leave it? Did it go with them to, as you know, to avoid the persecution, the slaughtering of the holy innocents? There's the flight into Egypt. Did they take that treasure with them for sustenance in Egypt? No, I don't think so. Not the way Jesus is. The Jesus who is born in poverty, lived in poverty, and died poor. For us. The treasure in this mindset that the Magi leave with, they go back by a different way, not just geographically, but religiously and spiritually. They no longer are guided by a star, they are guided by the light that is Jesus. That Jesus now is more than a star, but a light that illumines everyone, and that's the whole hint that's given at the Epiphany is through the whole gospel. And the Pharisees and the scribes and the Jewish leaders are very afraid that their places, like Herod, is going to be replaced. So as Herod killed the innocent, so will the Pharisees and Jewish leaders and the Romans kill the innocent. So it's an introduction to, it's a prologue, if you will. You don't have a nativity account in Matthew. You have an account of the light coming into the world, and Matthew's gospel says, so follow the light that is Jesus, not the star, but the light that illumines who you are. And so we come to the Eucharist not with gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but in the poverty of receptivity, that he is telling us, you are my treasure. You are enlightened to know who you are. Now you go As the Magi left, we are to leave the Eucharist by a different way of looking at ourselves, looking at others, and looking at the dignity that each of us is as a gift more precious than gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We go more aware of the light of Christ that is us. We are the Epiphany.